from the Supreme Court, and this is about the Agnipath scheme. The Supreme Court has refused to intervene, and it has in fact sent all the pleas challenging the Agnipath scheme to the Delhi High Court. It has asked the registry there to follow the legal process, number those petitions and put it up before an appropriate bench. Ananya Bhatnagar here with me, tracks the legal affairs very closely. Ananya, so what happened in the Supreme Court? Would you call it a relief for the central government?
Well, we can't call it a relief or some kind of a breather for the central government, because remember, the Supreme Court has said that since the Delhi High Court has already seized off a petition of challenging the Agnipath scheme, and there are various petitions pending before the various high courts in the capital, in the country, whether it's Kerala, whether it's the AFT in Kochi or other courts in the country. So the Supreme Court is clearly of the view that the High Court should hear the matter first, and a considered view is required from a High Court afterwards, which the Supreme Court can hear the matter. The petitioners have been granted liberty to approach the High Court, and in fact all of these petitions have now been transferred to the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court would be hearing this matter from across the country. The petitions would now come to the Delhi High Court subject to the orders of the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. These petitions would be listed before an appropriate bench, and then the matter would be heard, because Justice Chandrachud was of a view that it is a pan-India issue, and sometimes a view of a High Court is also considered, and the High Court's view would definitely give an edge to the Supreme Court in deciding this whole particular issue. It has kept all of these petitions and sent all of these petitions, in fact, to the Delhi High Court, and these would be listed, numbered, and then would be placed before a bench of the High Court after appropriate orders from the Delhi High Court Chief Justice Satish Chandra Sharma. And we can see some action in the High Court because the central government also was advising that a High Court view would in fact be very, very beneficial in deciding all of these petitions. So we'll have to see and wait and watch as to how the High Court would respond to these petitions. But a big move coming in from the Supreme Court, sending all of these petitions across the country to the Delhi High Court to decide it. A considered view would come in, because remember, already a Kerala High Court has given out a view that the AFT should not hear this, and various High Courts who were seized of the matter were giving out their own views. So clubbing all of these matters together, the Supreme Court has sent it to the Delhi High Court, and the burden of the deciding of this whole petition is now on the Delhi High Court. So somewhere or the other, the judges of the High Court are somewhere having a big burden now, because they would have to decide all of these petitions, and in fact the Supreme Court has said that these matters should be decided expeditiously. So we might expect a faster hearing taking place in the Delhi High Court with regards to the Agnipath scheme, and we can see a lot of action coming in, a lot of heated arguments also being taking place before the Delhi High Court. But what is very, very crucial to note, and very, very curiosity that develops, is that which bench of the High Court would be hearing this matter. Arunima.
Is there a precedence of this? I mean, I thought usually jurisdiction plays an issue when matters come to the High Court as to which, whether it is in the jurisdiction of that High Court. But you're pointing out that even petitions filed in Kerala would now be heard by judges of the Delhi High Court?
Well, yes, there is no point of a jurisdiction coming in when a Supreme Court has in fact directed the same. It is the topmost of the court of the country, and if the Supreme Court has asked the Delhi High Court to hear it, there is no point of jurisdiction that arises, and in fact it is granted liberty to all of the petitioners who want to challenge, in fact, in any of the states can approach the Delhi High Court. So if the liberty has been granted by the topmost court of the country, no jurisdictional issue would now arise, and all the petitions would now come before the Delhi High Court. The appropriate bench would be assigned by the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, Satish Chandra Sharma, and we will see as to who would be hearing this matter very soon. Arunima.
Okay. All right, Ananya Bhatnagar, thank you so much for getting us that news and that perspective. There's more as far as the Agnipath scheme is concerned. That's the latest that we have for you. News just coming in after allegations by opposition leaders that in the Agnipath form, candidates were being forced to mention their caste and religion. The centre has refuted this claim and pointed out that this practice has been going on since 2013. So this is what, leaders like Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh had raised. The allegation being that you're even trying to divide the armed forces on lines of caste and religion, but the government has refuted that. Maria Shakil with me. Maria, exactly what is it that the government is saying? What was the criticism?
Yes, so if you remember what Sanjay Singh had said, he had highlighted the aspect that the government is trying to divide the armed forces based on the criteria or the notification that has been issued. What the government sources are telling us is that this system has existed right from British era. Post-independence, it was formalized in 1949 through a special army order. And Modi government has changed nothing. It is just following the established Indian army procedure, which has been followed for all of these 7 decades. What is being highlighted is the fact that in 2013, the army had told the Apex Court that it is just for administrative and operational requirements. There is no role of caste, region or religion in selection process. So this is more to do with operational requirements.
Right, but Sanjay Singh and the others who are criticizing this move were pointing that these are polarized times, and when you're taking data about caste and religious affiliations, you're going to misuse that data. Was that the apprehension?
Yes, so what Mr. Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party are saying is that, I'm going to read a part of his tweet, Arunima. He says, "Kya Modi ji Dalito, Pichhado, Adivasiyon ko Sena Bharti ke Kabil nahi mante?" So that is the question that he had asked. Remember, there will be a discussion on Agnipath and on Agnipath scheme of the central government sometime in the next few days, Arunima, in Parliament, because a number of opposition party leaders have given notices for an elaborate discussion on it. But the government is very clear that the success of this scheme and its larger acceptance comes from the fact that the overall recruitment numbers, in fact, overall application numbers, Arunima, has grown phenomenally, be it for the Indian Army or Indian Air Force or even the Indian Navy.
But before I let you go, Maria, do you get a sense that the government is now no longer on the back foot? When the protests were happening throughout the country and every day we heard a new clarification about a new change in the scheme, it appeared that the government has taken this decision without going into the merits. But now with the number of applications which are coming in, do you get a sense that the government feels encouraged that the decision was on the right track?
Yes, that's right. And in fact, even when what was seen as clarifications, because the Home Ministry or the Defense Ministry, when they went ahead and announced that the number of PSUs that are associated with them will be giving priority to the Agniveers who are let go after 4 years, at that time itself, the clarification that had come from the government was, Nima, that it was not an afterthought. That when Defense Minister and the three chiefs, the service chiefs had made that announcement, even then they had said that in the coming few days, more announcements related to Agniveer will be happening.
Right. Right. Maria, thank you so much. Let me also bring in Bharatiya Janata Party's Amit Malviya into the conversation. Mr. Malviya, the government, they're clarifying that what is being alleged is actually a practice that has been on since 2013. And the opposition's, argument of religious or caste-related divide is misplaced. But it's a high possibility that these allegations nevertheless will be raised on the floor of the House when the discussion happens.
Well, this practice hasn't been around since 2013. It has been around since the British era. It was formalized in 1949 through a special order. And the government, the army in particular, in an affidavit in Supreme Court in 2013, has categorically said that it does not recruit people on the basis of caste and religion. These classifications are merely for operational reasons. Also, we have to understand that when men in uniform are in battlefield and make the supreme sacrifice or lose their lives during training or service, they have to be cremated with full rights and honors which are in sync with their religious beliefs. And that is why you need the segregation or identification of religion. So these are needless controversies that the opposition is trying to create. Like I keep saying, they are bereft of ideas to pin down this government. So they come up with things which really have no ground and have been in practice ever since we became an independent republic.
The clarification that you are putting out through our channel, the clarification that government channels have put out, do you think that will settle matters for now? Opposition's concerns, do you think will be addressed on this matter?
Well, it will expose the opposition more than settle the matter, because the opposition will try and bring up one of these issues to keep themselves relevant. But in the process, they will keep getting exposed. The shallowness of their ideas and their opposition to the government will be out for people to see.
Right. All right. Mr. Malviya, thank you so much for joining us. But what is it that the government is clarifying? First, let us tell you what was the allegation. Aam Aadmi Party Sanjay Singh came out and alleged that the government is collecting data about caste affiliations, religious affiliations of people who are applying to the armed forces. The allegation being made that you are discriminating on these grounds. The government is clarifying that this is not something which has been introduced now. This policy has been there since British era, and the armed forces actually had gone to the Supreme Court in 2013, and in an affidavit clarified that they were not really using this data for any kind of operational purpose. There was no discrimination. Amit Malviya, they're also adding that full military honors are given to anybody in armed forces who passes away in line of duty, and to ensure that that person's last rites are conducted as per his or her religious belief. It is important to have that data. That is also a reason why this information is collected and kept in the administrative records of the Indian Armed Forces. But like we were discussing, Mara and I were discussing, Agnipath is an issue which will be discussed in the monsoon session of Parliament. Will this matter rest now after the clarification, or will this allegation come back? We'll keep you abreast on that story, but slipping into a very quick break. Stay with us. There's much more on the other side.
CNN News 18 is New India's #1 news choice. Trounces, Times Now and Republic TV.